plan. For guests situated at the rostrum, the nearest exits are at the north and south rostrum. For occupants at the first floor and front rows of the VIP gallery, the north, south, and main entrance exits are available. For occupants at the VIP gallery, the main entrance and north and south VIP exits are available. For occupants at the second floor gallery, there are exits available at both sides. For occupants at the third floor gallery, there are available exits at the east and west sides.
I can.
Good afternoon. This session is now called to order. Maraming salamat. Everybody is, please rise for the singing of our national anthem.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisingil. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong paghaw, may nilang ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidikdik. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng walamit pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pag may mga api at mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Please remain standing for a minute of prayer to be delivered by our very own Akbayan Party List Congressperson Percival V. Tindanya.
O God of love, hope, and justice, we thank you for the gift of life that heals and sustains, and the talents that empower and liberate. O God of love, hope, and justice, bless our nation with the light of discernment and compassion. Embrace your people with your ever-loving care and protection. Protect your people from the dark and murderous forces of impunity and deception. O God of love, hope, and justice, bless this house of the people in our work to keep our nation safe from fear, violence, and greed. Guide us in the challenging but essential pursuit of truth and accountability. Lead us to the path of justice and redress for all who suffered and perished. Dakilang may likha ng pag-ibig, pag-asa at katarungan. Wakasan ang dilim ng karahasan, kasinungalingan at kasakiman, at hayaang manaig ang liwanag ng katotohanan. Siya nawa.
Maraming salamat. Akbayan Party List Congressperson Tindanya. The Secretary General is directed to call the roll of members.
Roll call of members. Honorable Representatives, Abalos, Abante, Abunda, Acharon, Asidre, Acop, Adyong, Advincula, Agaraw, Alba, Albano, Almario, Almonte, Alonte, Alvarez Jose, Alvarez Mercedes, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante, Amatong, Angara, Aquino, Aquino Magsaysay, Arbison, Arenas, Arrogancia, Asistio, Ataide, Omentado, Balindong, Barba, Barbers, Baronda, Baskug, Bautista, Bautista Lim, Bernos, Bilyones, Biron, Bolilia, Bondok, Bongalon, Bordado, Bosita, Briones, Brosas, Buhain, Bulut Begtang, Bustos, Cabredo, Cagas, Kahayon Uy, Calderon, Calixto, Campos, Kawagdan, Cardema, Cari, Castro Franz, Castro Jean, Celeste, Chan, Sendanya, Chato, Chua, Chungalao, Ko Angelica Natasha, Ko Elizaldi, Ko Pilar, Ko Juanco Jaime Eduardo Mark, Ko Juanco Mark, Colada, Colliantes, Corvera, Cruz Ambrosio, Cruz Ricardo, Cua, Cuaresma, Dagook, Dalipe, Dalo, Dayanghirang, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, Defensor, Del Mar, De Los Santos, Dimaporo Muhammad Khalid, Dimaporo City Amina, Dionisio, Domingo, Duavit, Duhali, Duterte, D. Faustino Ino, D. Faustino Michael Carlos, D. Ian Paul, Ecleo, Emano, Enverga, Escudero, Espares, Espina, Estrella, Yudela, Fariñas, Fernandez, Ferrer Antonio, Ferrer Juliet Marie, Flores, Fortes, Frasco, Fresnedi, Fuentebella, Galeyos, Garcia Albert, Garcia Dante, Garcia Jose Arturo, Garcia Maria Angela, Garcia Pablo Jan, Garcia Vincent, Guardiola, Garin, Gasataya, Gato, Goed Christopher, Gomark, Goles, Gomez, Gonzaga, Gonzales Aurelio, Gonzales Neptali, Gonzales Sandro, Goriseta, Guico, Gintu, Gulyas, Gutierrez, Jaresco, Hataman, Hernandez, Herrera, Oribata, Javier, Co Olga, Co Ricardo, Co Wilton, Konghun, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lacson Noel, Lagman, Lagon Daphne, Lagon Sani, Lara, Lazatin, Lee, Legarda, Libanan, Lim Kay Chong, Loyola, Luistro, Lumayag, Macapagal Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Magsino, Malapitan, Mangawang, Maniquis, Manuel, Marañon, Marcoleta, Marcos, Mariano Hernandez, Marinho, Marquez, Martinez, Mastura, Matibag, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado, Mercado Revilla, Miguel, Momo, Morden, Nava, Nisay, Nograles Juan Fidel Felipe, Nograles Margarita, Nolasco, Uwaminal, Olaso, Olivares, Ongchuan, Ordanes, Ortega, Uwano Dizon, Padiernos, Paduano, Paglas, Palma, Panaligan, Pancho, Panotes, Pascual, Peña, Pimentel, Plaza, Pleito, Primicia Sagabas, Pumaren, Puno, Kimbo, Rama, Regencia, Remulla, Revilla Bryan, Revilla Ramonjolo, Reyes, Rillo, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez Eulogio, Rodriguez Rufus, Roman, Romero, Romualdez Ferdinand Martin, Romualdez Ieda Marie, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sakaluran, Salceda, Sali, Salimbangon, Salo, Santos, Saulu, Silverio, Singson Rochelle, Singson Ronald, Singson Mihan, Solon, Suwan, Solon, Suwan, Suwansing Horacio. Hindi. Okay ka? Suwansing Micaela Angela, Suarez, Talyado, Tamayo, Tambunting, Tan Joseph, Tan Keith Micah, Tan Reynolds Michael, Tan Samir, Tan Stephen James, Tan Tambut, Tan Chay, Tan Watko, Tariela, Teodoro, Teves, Tiangco, Tieng, Tolentino, Tulfo Erwin, Tulfo Jocelyn, Tulfo Ralph Wendell, Tupas, Tutor, T, Umali, Unabia, Ungab, Uy, Valeriano, Valmayor, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velasco, Veloso Tuazon, Vergara, Verzosa, Villa, Villaferte Luis Raymond, Villaferte Miguel Luis, Villanueva, Villar, Villaraza Suarez, Villarica, Violago, Yamsuan, Yap Christiantel, Yap Christopherson, Yap Edvic, Yap Eric, U Divina Grace, U Jazel Victoria, Yulo, Zamora Amparo Maria, Zamora Maria Carmen, Zamora Isabel Maria, Zubiri. Mr. Speaker, the roll call shows that 192 members responded to the call.
Maraming salamat, Secretary General. With 192 members responding to the call, the Chair declares the presence of a quorum. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we defer the approval of the journal of the previous session.
Is there no objection? The Chair hears none. The motion to defer is hereby approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we now proceed with the reference of business and request that the Secretary General be directed to read the titles of bills and resolutions on first reading, as well as communications and committee reports.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The Secretary General is directed to read the titles of bills, resolutions on the first reading, as well as communications and committee reports for the referral to the appropriate committee. Secretary General, please.
Reference of business. Bills on first reading. House Bill 11119, rationalizing the powers of local government units to rename barangays, by Representative Fresnedi.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 11120, granting bereavement leave to all employees, by Representative Fresnedi.
To the Committee on Labor and Employment.
House Bill 11121, reforming the share of local government units in the Internal Revenue Allotment, by Representative Fresnedi.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 11122, strengthening the system of filing of delayed registration of births in the country, by Representative Fresnedi.
To the Committee on Population and Family Relations.
House Bill 11123, to create a healthy food marketing environment by requiring front-of-package warning labels for food high in fat, sodium, or sugar, and regulating the marketing of such food to children, by Representative Fresnedi.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 11124, providing compensation for victims of human rights violations, by Representative Fresnedi.
To the Committee on Human Rights.
House Bill 11127, imposing solidarity contribution on the most affluent Filipinos for the benefit of public health and climate change resiliency, by Representatives Sandanya and Hataman.
To the Committee on Ways and Means.
Resolutions. House Resolution 2090, calling for the immediate resignation of DOH Secretary Teodoro Ted J. Herbosa due to the systematic failures, unaddressed issues in the Philippine healthcare system, and non-compliance to his commitments made before the House of Representatives, by Representative Lee.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 2091, expressing the heartfelt condolences of the House to the family of the late Honorable Alfredo Amor E. Abueg Jr., former Deputy Speaker and representative of the 2nd District of Palawan, and commemorating his exemplary life and legacy of service to the nation, by Representative Suan.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 2092, expressing the unwavering and unqualified support and solidarity of the House to the leadership of His Excellency President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and the Honorable Speaker Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez in the face of serious and dangerous remarks and defiant acts that threaten the very foundations of democratic governance, the rule of law, public trust, and the integrity of government institutions by Representatives Gonzales Aurelio, Suarez, Dalipe, et al.
To the Committee on Rules.
Communications. Various communications submitted to the House of Representatives by officials of several local government units relative to their posting and reporting requirements of the fund utilization and status of program project implementation of the Local Government Support Fund, as attested by their respective local chief executives.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Report dated November 14, 2024 of the Secretary General of the House of Representatives on enrolled copies of House Bill numbers 3092, 3961, 3964, 3978, 6337, 7296, 7502, 8122, 8254, 8483, 9295, 9298, 9299, 9500, 9501, 9592, 9594, 9624, 9890, 10268, 10269, 10396, 10397, 10441, 10442, 10443, 694, 3963, 3966, 3970, 5830, 5843, 7300, and 10440, which were transmitted to the Office of the President on November 13, 2024, for His Excellency's consideration and signature, pursuant to Section 18H, Rule 6 of the Rules of the House. Committee reports. Committee report numbers 1268, 1270, and 1272, submitted by the Committees on Tourism and Appropriations on House Bill numbers 11118, 11126, and 11128, respectively. Committee report numbers 1269 and 1273, submitted by the Committee on Tourism on House Bill numbers 11125 and 1129, respectively. Committee Report 1271, submitted by the Special Committee on Creative Industries on House Resolution 2089.
The aforementioned committee reports are all referred to the Committee on Rules. Maraming salamat, Secretary General. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we suspend session for a few minutes.
Thank you. Session suspended.
Session resumed. Majority Leader.
Our dear colleagues, the Honorable Speaker, Ferdinand Martin J. Romualdez, will address the body.
Okay. My distinguished colleagues, I stand before you today with a heavy yet resolute heart. Recent events compel me to address not only the accusations that have been hurled against me personally, but also the attacks on the institution we hold sacred, the House of Representatives, the heart of our democracy and the voice of the Filipino people. Let me begin with a matter that is both alarming and unprecedented. The Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines, Sara Duterte, admitted to contacting an assassin to kill President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., First Lady Luis Araneta Marcos, and myself. Let me be clear. Hindi na to biro. Hindi na to normal na panalita. Isa itong direktang banta sa ating demokrasya, sa ating pamahalaan, at sa seguridad ng bayan. Such statement is not just reckless, it is dangerous. It sends a chilling message to our people, a message that violence can be contemplated by those in positions of power. This is not just an affront to the individuals targeted, it is attack on the very foundation of our government. It is an insult to every Filipino who believes in the rule of law and the sanctity of life. Violence has no place in our society. It is irreconcilable with the values that have taught and guided us for years. Values of respect and amicable, peaceful conflict resolution. We cannot let this pass as mere rhetoric. The gravity of such confession demands accountability. It demands answers. It demands that we, as the representatives of the Filipino people, take a stand to protect our democracy from any and all forms of threats. The actions of the Vice President will go down in the annals of history like a nightmare that will haunt our people for generations. And this House will do whatever we can to protect the dignity of this institution and the 100 million Filipinos we represent. Now, let us address another serious matter. The Vice President's unfounded and baseless accusations that I am plotting to destroy her because of alleged political ambitions for 2028 elections. My colleagues, these accusations are not only untrue, they are a desperate attempt to distract from the real issues at hand. Malinaw ang katotohanan. Ang trabaho ko bilang speaker ay maglingkod, hindi manira. Ang politika na paninira ay hindi kailanman naging bahagi ng aking prinsipyo. My focus has always been on fulfilling my responsibilities as Speaker of the House, leading with utmost integrity, untarnished by division and self-interest, and guided by the principle that every action and decision I take must always be for the benefit of the Filipino people. These unfounded accusations are not just about me. They are an affront to the House of Representatives. They are an attempt to erode public trust in this institution, to sow division, and to create chaos. We choose unity over division, dialogue over conflict, and cooperation over confrontation. Why these baseless accusations? The answer is simple: to divert attention from the mounting evidence of fund misuse under her leadership at the office of the Vice President and Department of Education. The issues surrounding confidential and intelligence funds, the questionable disbursements, and the lack of transparency demand answers. We will not tolerate and accept vague explanations and evasive responses. Kung wala kang itinatago, bakit hindi sagutin ang mga tanong? Karapatan ng taong bayan na malaman ang katotohanan. Accountability is not optional. Transparency is not negotiable. Those entrusted with public funds must be prepared to explain where it was disbursed and how these resources were utilized. Hindi ito personal. Ito ay usapin ng pananagutan at tiwala ng taong bayan. Instead of providing clarity, we have seen attempts to shift the narrative, to create distractions, and to fabricate stories. But let me remind everyone that truth is resilient. No amount of noise can drown it. This House of the People is a sacred institution. It is the embodiment of the people's will, and its dignity must be upheld at all times. Ang Kongreso ay sagrado. Ang mga patakaran at seguridad dito ay hindi nilalabag. Ang paglabag sa mga ito ay kawalang galang sa taong bayan ng ating pinaglilingkuran. Disrespect for the protocols, security measures, and leadership of this institution is not just a breach of rules, it is a breach of trust. To mock our protocols, to defy our orders, and to malign our leaders is to disrespect the Filipino people who elected us to serve. This House operates on the principles of the rule of law, transparency, and accountability. These principles are the bedrock of our democracy. To undermine them is to weaken the foundation upon which our nation stands. My colleagues, I call on you to stand with me in defending this institution. Ipaglaban natin ang dignidad ng Kongreso. Ipaglaban natin ang katotohanan. Ipaglaban natin ang ating demokrasya. This is not about personal interests. It is about preserving the integrity of the House of Representatives and ensuring that it remains strong and a credible voice for the Filipino people. To the Filipino people, I assure you that this House will not waver in its commitment to transparency, accountability, and service. We should not allow individuals to ruin this great nation with their manipulative tactics, their troll armies, or their few blind followers. We owe it to the Filipino people to remain steadfast in our mission to pass laws that improve lives, protect freedoms, and ensure a brighter future for all. Finally, I reaffirm my unwavering support for President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and his administration. Together, we will continue to advance the reforms and policies that will lead us to economic recovery, national security, and a more equitable society. Ang laban na ito ay hindi tungkol sa akin, hindi tungkol sa inyo, kundi para sa ating bayan at sa kinabukasan ng bawat Pilipino. Let us rise above the distractions. Let us reject baseless accusations. Let us focus on what truly matters, serving the people and strengthening the institutions that uphold our democracy. Let us stay focused, steadfast, and committed to the great job we are doing. It is indeed my honor and privilege fighting this battle with and for all of you. Thank you, and may God bless the Philippines. Mabuhay ang Kongreso! Mabuhay ang sambayang Pilipino! Majority Leader,
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend session for a few minutes.
session suspended.
Yung akin dito mo. Session is resumed. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we consider House Resolution number 2092. And for this purpose, may I request that the Secretary General be directed to read the title of this House Resolution.
The Secretary General is hereby directed. Please proceed, sir.
Resolution expressing the unwavering and unqualified support and solidarity of the House of Representatives to the leadership of His Excellency President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and the Honorable Speaker Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez in the face of serious and dangerous remarks and defiant acts that threaten the very foundations of democratic governance, the rule of law, public trust, and the integrity of government institutions.
Maraming salamat, Secretary General. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Senior Deputy Speaker Aurelio Dong G. D. Gonzales to deliver his sponsorship speech.
Our Senior Deputy Speaker, Dong Gonzales, is hereby recognized. Please proceed, SDS.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Majority Leader. The Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pride and honor and a sense of duty that I rise today in this august chamber to sponsor and support House Resolution number 2092, expressing the unwavering and unqualified support and solidarity of the House of Representatives to the leadership of His Excellency President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and the Honorable Speaker Ferdinand Martin Gomez Romualdez. In the face of serious and dangerous remarks and defiant acts that threaten the very foundation of democratic governance, rule of law, public trust, and integrity of government institutions. The importance of this resolution cannot be overstated. As members of this honorable and highly esteemed institution, it is our responsibility to uphold the dignity, honor, and integrity of the House of Representatives. In doing so, we must also express our collective solidarity with our leaders who stand at the forefront of defending our democratic institutions and the rule of law. Recent events have brought to light conduct and statements that not only threaten the dignity of this chamber, but also compromise national security and public trust in our government, Mr. Speaker. These include actions that defy protocols, undermine accountability, and most alarmingly, the threats to the very lives of our leader, His Excellency President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., the First Lady, Mrs. Liza Araneta Marcos, and our beloved Speaker, Ferdinand Martin Gomez Romualdez. Speaker Romualdez has displayed exemplary leadership and unwavering resolve in defending this institution against those who seek to weaken it. His swift and decisive response to these serious threats is a testament to his commitment to upholding the principles of democratic governance and the rule of law. Under the leadership of Speaker Romualdez, this chamber has demonstrated unity, dynamism, and effectiveness in performing its mandate. We have passed crucial legislations that support the priorities of the administration and address the needs of our constituents. These successes show that with a stalwart leader like Speaker Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez, this institution can withstand any obstacle and remain a pillar of democracy. Moreover, the leadership of President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. continues to guide our nation toward progress and stability. His vision for a strong and united Philippines is evident in the administration achievements. It is our duties as legislators to rally behind our President in defending the interests of the Filipino people and safeguarding the future of our democratic institution. Mr. Speaker, in this spirit, I call upon each and every one of you, my esteemed colleagues, to support the immediate adoption of House Resolution number 2092, to support the immediate adoption of House Resolution number 2092. Let us show the nation that we stand united behind our leadership and in defense of the sacred principles of democracy, accountability, and the rule of law. Dakal pong salamat. Mabuhay si Presidente Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. Mabuhay si Speaker Ferdinand Gomez Romualdez. Mabuhay ang mababang kamulungan. At maraming salamat po, Luidia, ing Pilipinas. Dakal pong salamat. Maya pagkat panapon po kay kayuman.
Mabuhay, Senior Deputy Speaker Aurelio Dong D. Gonzales. Maraming salamat, sir. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Majority Leader, Manuel Jose Manix M. Dalipe, to deliver his sponsorship speech.
To our Majority Leader, Manuel Jose Manix M. Dalipe. Please proceed, sir.
Honorable Speaker, esteemed members of the House, good afternoon. I rise today to express my unwavering support for the House of Representatives and our Speaker, the Honorable Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez, in the light of the recent events faced by our institution. The House of Representatives stands as a cornerstone of this nation's democracy. As we carry out our mandate and stand to uphold the Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines, we operate on established rules and procedures to ensure transparency, accountability, and order within our walls and beyond. Over the past few days, we witnessed the blatant disregard for these rules and protocols by no less than the second highest official of the land. I take this opportunity to reiterate that this august chamber must be accorded the honor and dignity befitting its status as the House of the people. To disrespect this chamber is to disrespect the people we represent. No public official, regardless of rank, position, should consider itself above and beyond the 100 million strong Filipino people by obstructing the lawful proceedings and orders of the House. The wanton breach of protocol, the use of vindictive language, and the threat of harm aimed at the leaders of our country show a deep and encompassing disrespect for the rule of law and democratic institutions that we have sworn to protect. Mr. Speaker, I believe we can do better. We must remember that our actions set the tone of public governance in this country. I applaud President Marcos and Speaker Romualdez for their patience, restraint, and ability to rise above the fray by blocking out the external noise and focusing on the work that needs to be done. I urge all of us to follow their example. Let us continue to do our work, no matter the obstacles put in our path, and remember that it is in our collective strength that we have achieved all our legislative goals and more. Maraming salamat po. Mabuhay ang ating mahal na Pangulo, Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. Mabuhay ang ating House Speaker, Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez. Mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas.
Mabuhay ka. Maraming salamat, Majority Leader Manuel Jose Manex M. Dalipi. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that you recognize Deputy Speaker David J.J.C. Suarez for his manifestation.
Deputy Speaker in the Province of Quezon, Congressperson J. Suarez. You're recognized, sir. Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I rise today in utter disbelief and righteous indignation over the Vice President of the Republic, Sara Duterte, admitting that she has contacted an assassin to kill none other than President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., First Lady Luis Araneta Marcos, and our beloved Speaker, Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez. Mr. Speaker, this is no trivial matter. This is not an offhand remark that can be swept under the rug. This is an admission by the second highest official in the land of a premeditated intent to harm the highest leaders of our government. This is a direct attack on the presidency, on this House, and on the very foundations of our democracy. Let us call this what it is: treachery in the highest order. It is a betrayal not just of the President and this institution, but of every single Filipino who entrusted her with power. How can someone sworn to uphold the Constitution and protect the people conspire to commit such an act of unthinkable violence? How can the Vice President, who is expected to be a unifying figure, admit to plotting an act that could destabilize the entire nation? Mr. Speaker, let us not be deceived by any attempts to downplay or justify this admission. This is not about personal grievances or political rivalry. This is a threat to our national security, our democratic processes, and the rule of law. For the Vice President to even contemplate such actions is a gross abuse of power and betrayal of the office she holds. Mr. Speaker, we must act, and we must act now. How can the Filipino people trust a leader admits to contracting an assassin? How can we continue to allow someone of such dangerous tendencies to occupy one of the highest positions in the land? This is not a question of leadership. It is a question of morality, of accountability, and the survival of our democracy. The House must take immediate action. We cannot simply express our outrage and move on. We must call for a full investigation into the Vice President's admissions, not just for the sake of justice, but to protect the integrity of our institutions and to ensure the safety of our leaders. Mr. Speaker, the behavior cannot just be tolerated. This is not about politics. This is about the survival of our democracy and the safety of our people. We demand answers. We demand accountability. And we demand that the Vice President face the full force of the law for her actions. Let this House stand united in defense of our democracy, our leaders, our people. We cannot and will not allow anyone, even the Vice President, threaten the very foundation of this republic. Maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat. Deputy Speaker, David J.J. Suarez. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Albert S. Garcia of the 2nd District of Bataan for his manifestation.
The gentleman from the 2nd District of Bataan, Representative Albert S. Garcia, is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I rise today with a deep sense of indignation and disbelief over the shocking admission made by Vice President Sara Duterte that she had contacted an assassin to target none other than His Excellency President R. Marcos Jr., First Lady Luis Araneta Marcos, and our esteemed Speaker, Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez. Let us pause for a moment, Mr. Speaker, to reflect on the gravity of this revelation. The second highest official of the land, someone who took an oath to protect and uphold the Constitution, has admitted to contemplating violence against the very people she sworn to serve alongside. This is not just alarming, it is a betrayal of public trust and an affront to our democratic values and a threat to the stability of our nation. Mr. Speaker, how can we as representatives of the Filipino people stand silent in the face of such a heinous admission? The Vice President's statement are not only a direct threat to the lives of our leaders, but a dangerous precedent that undermines the very foundation of our democratic governance. If someone in her position feels emboldened to admit to such acts, what message does this send to the public? That power can be wielded without accountability? That the rule of law can be disregarded with impunity? Mr. Speaker, this House has a solemn duty to ensure that no one, no matter how high his or her position, stands above the law. The Vice President's action demand not just condemnation, but thorough investigation. This is not just about politics. This is about justice, accountability, and the preservation of our nation's dignity. Let me be clear, there is no place in our government, in our democracy, for such reckless and dangerous behavior. The office of the Vice President should embody integrity and leadership, not serve as a platform for threats and violence. The Filipino people deserve better, Mr. Speaker. They deserve leaders who inspire trust, who uphold the rule of law, and who work tirelessly to serve the nation with honor and dignity. This House must take a stand. We must demand a full accounting of the Vice President's action and hold her to the highest standards of accountability. Anything less would be a disservice to the principles we swore to uphold and to the Filipino people we serve. Mr. Speaker, let us send a clear and unequivocal message. This House will not tolerate threats to our democracy, our leaders, or our people. We will defend the rule of law and ensure that justice prevails. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Speaker.
Maraming salamat, Representative Albert S. Garcia, 2nd District of Bataan. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Wilfrido Mark M. Enverga of the 1st District of Quezon to deliver his manifestation.
The gentleman from the 1st District of Quezon, Representative Wilfredo Mark M. Enverga. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I rise today to firmly and unequivocally defend the integrity, honor, and exemplary leadership of our esteemed Speaker, Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez, against the baseless and malicious accusations hurled by Vice President Sara Duterte. First, let us confront the outrageous claim that the Speaker, a man who has dedicated his life to public service and the betterment of Filipino people, harbored any intent to harm the Vice President. Mr. Speaker, such allegations are not only preposterous, they are designed to distract and divide. They lack even a shred of evidence and are nothing more than a desperate attempt to tarnish the Speaker's reputation. Our Speaker has consistently demonstrated his commitment to democratic governance, transparency, and public service. Under his leadership, this House has passed landmark legislation to uplift the lives of our fellow Filipinos, recover from economic challenges, and ensure national security. These are the actions of a leader who serves with integrity and purpose, not one who engages in petty, baseless conspiracies. Second, let us address the Vice President's claim that the Speaker is involved in illicit activities. Mr. Speaker, these accusations are as hollow as they are reckless. They are not supported by facts, evidence, or any credible source. They are only to sow mistrust and undermine the Speaker's hard-earned credibility. Let us be clear. This House will not allow baseless mudslinging to derail our mission of serving the people. What drives these accusations, Mr. Speaker? Is it political ambition? Or is it simply a refusal to accept the Speaker's growing stature as a unifying and decisive leader? Whatever the motive, one thing is clear. These attacks do not reflect on Speaker's character. They reflect on desperation of those who make them. Mr. Speaker, the Filipino people deserve leaders who focus on solutions, not divisiveness, on progress, and not lies. Speaker Romualdez embodies these values. He has guided this House with wisdom, fairness, and a steadfast dedication to the people we serve. His record speaks for itself, and no amount of baseless accusations can erase the accomplishments he has achieved for this nation. In closing, let me say this: the truth will always prevail over lies. This House stands firmly behind Speaker Romualdez, not just because he is our leader, but because he represents the values of integrity, accountability, and service that we all aspire to uphold. We will not be swayed by baseless attacks, and we will continue to stand united in our commitment to serving the Filipino people. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Speaker.
Maraming salamat. Maraming salamat. First District, Quezon, Representative Wilfredo Rido, Mark M. Enverga. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Robert S. Barbers of the 2nd District of Surigao del Norte for his manifestation.
The gentleman of the 2nd District of Surigao del Norte, Representative Robert S. Barbers. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, I rise today not only to defend the honor of this House, but to uphold the integrity and unwavering leadership of our Speaker, Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez, against the baseless accusations made by the Vice President Sara Duterte. These accusations that our Speaker intended to harm her or that he is involved in illicit activities are nothing but unfounded and irresponsible allegations meant to distract and discredit. First, Mr. Speaker, let us recognize the kind of leadership Speaker Romualdez has exemplified. Under his stewardship, this House has worked tirelessly to pass transformative legislation that directly impacts the lives of millions of Filipinos. From championing economic recovery measures to addressing pressing national security concerns, the Speaker's vision and decisive leadership have steered this chamber toward progress and stability. These are the qualities of a statesman, one who places the nation's welfare above all else. Second, Mr. Speaker, let us consider the gravity of the accusations hurled against him. To accuse someone of plotting harm or engaging in illicit activities without a shred of evidence is not only reckless but dangerous. Such baseless statements undermine the very fabric of our democratic institutions. They erode public trust and divert attention from the real issues our nation faces. These allegations, Mr. Speaker, are nothing more than a desperate attempt to smear the reputation of a man who has consistently demonstrated his commitment to serving the Filipino people. If there were any truth to these claims, let them be backed by credible evidence. But what we see here is not evidence. It is mere noise, crafted to create division and chaos where unity and focus are most needed. Let us also ask, why is the Speaker being targeted? Is it because of his success in uniting this House under a shared vision for progress? Is it because his leadership has garnered respect and trust not just from his colleagues here, but from the Filipinos at large? Or is it simply because his integrity and competence stand as a stark contrast to those who thrive on baseless accusations and political theatrics? Mr. Speaker, this chamber must stand firm against attempts to tarnish the reputation of its leader. Speaker Romualdez has always conducted himself with honor and dedication. His track record of service speaks louder than any false accusation, and his commitment to the rule of law and public accountability remains unshaken. I have known you, Mr. Speaker, as a conscientious public servant. In the short span that you have discharged your duties as Speaker, I can honestly say that you have treated all of us fairly and that in all the conduct of affairs, you have always displayed decency, bearing, and character that bespeaks of a statesman. Through all the attacks and accusations that comes with a position, I see you always taking the high moral ground. By any measure, your calm and calculated bearing stand tall among all of us amidst all the crisis, a distinct trait that all leaders must possess. In closing, Mr. Speaker, I urge my colleagues and the Filipino people to focus on what truly matters: the Speaker's consistent efforts to build a stronger, more united, and more prosperous Philippines. Let us not allow baseless accusations to distract us from our shared mission of service to the nation. The Speaker has our trust, our confidence, and our unwavering support. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Daghang kayong salamat, Representative Robert Ace S. Barbers, 2nd District, Surigao del Norte. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Rosana Ria V. Vergara of the 3rd District of Nueva Ecija to deliver her manifestation.
Representative Rosana Rita V. Vergara, 3rd District, Nueva Ecija. You're recognized, ma'am. Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I rise today to address and firmly refute the baseless and malicious accusations being spread that Speaker Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez is attempting to destroy the Vice President because of a supposed ambition to run for President in 2028. These claims are not only unfounded, but are an insult to the Speaker's character and his unwavering commitment to public service. It is also an attack to the integrity of the House of Representatives as an institution. We cannot allow this. We must not. Mr. Speaker, let us set the record straight. Speaker Romualdez has demonstrated time and again that his focus is solely on his duties as the leader of this House. Under his guidance and leadership, we have successfully passed critical legislation that addresses the urgent needs of the Filipino people, including measures on economic recovery, national security, and social services. His record of service is rooted in action, not ambition. The Speaker's leadership is not about personal political gain. It is about building a stronger, united Philippines. If there is one thing Speaker Romualdez has consistently shown, it is his ability to rise above political noise and focus on the issues that truly matter to our constituents. The allegations that the Speaker is using his position to target the Vice President are as absurd as they are divisive. These claims are nothing more than an attempt to deflect attention from her own failures and controversies. The Vice President's struggles to navigate her own responsibilities as a public official should not be blamed on the Speaker's competence or leadership. Mr. Speaker, let us ask, why would someone who has consistently demonstrated loyalty to the administration of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and who has been a staunch ally of its programs engage in such petty political games? The truth is, these accusations are a convenient excuse for the Vice President to evade accountability for her actions and distract the public from her lack of concrete achievements. Let us also recognize the Speaker's long-standing reputation for unity and collaboration, his efforts to build coalitions across party lines, and his dedication to fostering a harmonious relationship with the executive branch contradict the notion that he is driven by personal ambition. This is a leader who values service over self-interest and progress over politics. Mr. Speaker, I urge our colleagues and the Filipino people to see these claims for what they are: desperate attempts to sow division and tarnish the reputation of an exemplary public servant and the institution that he leads. Speaker Martin Romualdez is focused on his duties today, not on ambitions for tomorrow. His commitment to this House and to the Filipino people remains steadfast, and no amount of baseless accusations can detract from this. This House stands united behind Speaker Romualdez. We will not be distracted by false narratives, nor will we allow them to undermine the important work we do for the Filipino people. Let us stay focused on the task at hand and continue to serve with integrity, unity, and dedication. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Congresswoman Rosana Ria V. Vergara of the 3rd District of Nueva Ecija. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Erwin Tulfo of the ACT-CIS party list for his manifestation.
ACT-CIS Party List, Representative Erwin T. Tulfo. You're recognized, sir. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to read the manifesto of the Party List Coalition as directed by the party list leaders. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, the Party List Coalition clearly see a diversion of attention away from the mounting evidence of fund misuse under the Office of the Vice President in the Department of Education. Mr. Speaker, the allegation of financial irregularities involving the OBP and the DepEd are serious and demand answers. The Filipino people deserve accountability, transparency, and honesty from their leaders, especially from someone who oversees billions of pesos meant to uplift the lives of our citizens and improve the quality of education of our children. Instead of addressing these issues head-on, they have chosen to create a smokescreen, fabricating baseless accusations against Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez and other public officials. Mr. Speaker, the Speaker of this House, Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez, has shown exemplary leadership in ensuring that this chamber remains a bastion of transparency and accountability. He has no time for petty political games. His focus is on serving the Filipino people. Mr. Speaker, the Filipino people deserve the truth. They deserve leaders who prioritize service over self-preservation. This House, under the Speaker's leadership, remains committed to ensuring that no one is above the law and that public funds are used properly and responsibly. That is all. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Maraming salamat. Representative Erwin T. Tulfo, on behalf of the PCFI, Party List Coalition Foundation Incorporated, and ACT-CIS Party List. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Deputy Majority Leader, Julian Jam Baronda of the Lone District of Iloilo City, to deliver his manifestation of support.
Lone District, Iloilo City, Deputy Majority Leader Julian Jam Baronda. You are recognized, ma'am.
Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, maayong hapon sa atong tanan. In support of the approval of House Resolution Number 2092, expressing the unwavering and unqualified support and solidarity of the House of Representatives to the leadership of His Excellency President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and the Honorable Speaker Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez, in the face of serious and dangerous remarks and defiant acts that threaten the very foundation of democratic governance, rule of law, public trust, and integrity of government institutions. This humble representation expresses full, unwavering support to the leadership of His Excellency President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and our beloved Speaker, Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez. Amidst the arbitrary actions and alarming statements issued by the second highest official of the land, we maintained that the preservation of the dignity, the integrity of the House of Representatives is of paramount importance. Mr. Speaker, in the light of the recent events that have transpired in the last 3 days within the premises of the House of Representatives, these arbitrary acts of interference and alarming statements reflect a clear disregard for institutional authority and due process. It is crucial that we condemn such acts and remain steadfast in adhering to the principles of good governance and rule of law. This is to avoid establishing a precedent for abuse of power. Mr. Speaker, the rule of law must likewise be observed by all government institutions and individuals, regardless of position or rank. It is paramount that we ensure the law applies equally to all, without discrimination or partiality. We also emphasize the importance of safeguarding the public trust that citizens have placed in their elected leaders. Public trust is earned through transparency, accountability, and commitment to public service. Maintaining these values requires our collective and unwavering determination. Thus, this august chamber stands united in its support for the leadership's effort to uphold integrity and the institution, and to ensure that governance is exercised in the manner that is both accountable and transparent for the Filipino people. Mabuhay ang Kongreso. Madamo nga salamat, Mr. Speaker.
Damo gid salamat. Deputy Majority Leader Julian Jam Boronda, Long District of Iloilo. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Tobias Toby M. Chanco of the Lone District of Navotas City to deliver his manifestation of support.
And gentleman from the Long District of Navotas City, Representative Toby M. Tiangco. You're recognized, sir. Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, a pleasant day to all of you. It is with great respect and a deep sense of responsibility that I rise before this august body to manifest my unwavering support for the approval of House Resolution number 2092 in light of the recent events that have threatened the dignity of the House of Representatives and the stability of our democratic institutions. Recently, the Vice President acted with shocking recklessness, issuing threats, deliberately violating security protocols, and using invectives that are unbecoming of her position, thereby undermining the integrity of the House of Representatives and the foundations of our democratic institutions. While these actions and statements cannot and should not be taken lightly, this House will take the higher ground and choose to rise above such actions and threats, focusing instead on the principles of respect and civility that guide this institution rather than descending into the rhetoric of violence and intimidation. We must not allow individuals, regardless of their positions and influence, to undermine the integrity of this body and our nation through manipulative tactics, orchestrated campaigns, or the deliberate sowing of discord by those who seek only to create chaos and division for their own gain. Our purpose is to serve the people and to work for the greater good, not to be swayed by distractions, hostility, or self-serving agendas. Let us not emulate their divisive actions, but instead champion the values of unity, respect, and progress for the common good. Principles that Speaker Romualdez and this institution have steadfastly upheld throughout the 19th Congress. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is with utmost respect and a sense of responsibility to the Filipino people that I ask this body to stand united in approving House Resolution 2092. This manifestation is a reaffirmation of our collective responsibility to defend the rule of law and the integrity of this legislative body. We, as representatives of the people, must resolutely reject any threat to our democracy, whether it arises from within these chambers or from external forces. We will not stand idly while the very foundations of our nation are challenged. Together, let us continuously express our strong and unrelenting support for His Excellency, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and his administration, and to Speaker Romualdez, whose leadership has been a steady force in this institution. Through their leadership and unwavering commitment, we will rise above these disruptive and destabilizing forces and forge a future where progress and unity triumph for the benefit of all. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and may God bless us all.
Thank you, Long District Navotas City Representative Toby M. Iangco. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, for the final manifestation of support, I move to recognize the Honorable Gabriel Bordado of the 3rd District of Camarines Sur.
Representative Bordado, you are recognized, sir. Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I move to withdraw my previous motion.
Please proceed, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt House Resolution number 2092.
There's a motion to adopt House Resolution 2092. Is there no objection? The chair hears none. Said motion to adopt House Resolution 2092 is hereby approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, before we proceed, may we recognize the guests of the Honorable Salvador A. Plato of the 6th District of Bulacan. We have from the Municipality of Angat, Bulacan, Municipal Mayor Reynante S. Bautista, Municipal Vice Mayor Arvin L. Agustin, Municipal Councilors William S. Vergel de Dios, Darwin A. Calderon, Evelyn J. Cruz, Melandro G. Tigas, Luis J. Santiago, Ramiro A. Osorio III, Barangay Chairman Nerio S. Valdesco, former SK John Patrick D.C. Solis, SK Federation President Mary Grace Evangelista. From the Municipality of Santa Maria, Bulacan, we have Municipal Mayor Bartolome R. Ramos, Municipal Vice Mayor Pablo L. Juan, former Mayor Russell G. Plato, former Councilor Salvador G. Plato Jr., Board Member Renato D.L. de Guzman Jr., Board Member Arthur A. Legaspi, ABC President Leovigildo Jing Ramos, Municipal Councilors Neil B. Mateo, Esperanza G. Ramos, Mark Angelo R. Clemente, Carl Gerard Castillo, Jesus B. de Guzman Jr., Municipal Administrator Engineer Elmer Clemente, former Vice Mayor Rico Jude P. Santo Domingo, Engineer Angelito Jacinto, Barangay Chairman Eresto de la Cruz, former Municipal Councilor June Mateo, SK Federation President Marco Trajano. From the Municipality of Norzagaray, Bulacan, Municipal Mayor Maria Elena Hermar, Municipal Vice Mayor Patricio I. Hener, ABC President Baltazar Espiritu, Municipal Councilors Maria Cleope S.P. Pelayo, Municipal Councilor Edsel C. Mendoza, Michael L. Merced, Luz Viminda Espiritu, Abigail Reyes, Resty Sumbilio, Alvin Cruz, Sosimo Cruz, Barangay Chairman Bert Paul P. Torres, SK Federation President Christine K. Cadano, former SK Federation President Mark Ivan Feliciano, and former Vice Mayor Rogelio Santos.
Thank you, Majority Leader. May it please reiterate, they are the guests of...
The Honorable Salvador A. Plato of the 6th District of Bulacan, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Majority Leader. And the guests of Congressman Prieto of the province of Bulacan, welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, on the same note, may we also recognize the guests of Honorable Percival Sendanya, representative of the Akbayan Party List. We have with us visitors from the Network to Stop AIDS Philippines, or NSAP. They are the following: Mara Quesada, Roberto Figuracion Jr., Jams De Leon, Ayla Beato, Liza Igcasinza, Leslie Tolentino, Roger Alvarez Jr., and Elaine Madula.
Maraming salamat, Majority Leader. To the guests of Honorable Percival Sendanya, Akbayan Party List, to Network to Stop AIDS Philippines, NSAP, on behalf of Speaker Martin Romualdez, welcome to the House of Representatives. Magandang hapon. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, may we welcome to the House of Representatives the guest of Honorable Daniel Manuel of the Kabataan Party List. Our guest is the mother of our Honorable Representative Raul. We have Miss Clarizel Joy Abellar.
To the guests of Kabataan Party List, Honorable Raul Daniel A. Manuel, to Ms. Clarizel Joy Abilar, on behalf of Speaker Martin Romualdez, magandang hapon. Welcome to the House of Representatives, ma'am. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, may we acknowledge and welcome to the House of Representatives the guests of the Honorable Representative Loreto Acharon from the Lone District of General Santos City. Our guests are officials of the Barangay Upper Labay, General Santos City, headed by the Punong Barangay, Honorable Celso Sago. We have Barangay Kagawads, Honorable Donisa Mando, Honorable Marieta Villatima, Honorable Jennifer Jeronimo, Honorable Ryan Balunto, Honorable Mary Grace Almesion, Honorable Paquito Baton, Honorable Ruben Santiago, Honorable Shaina Babes Burgos. We also have guests from the General Santos City Schools Division Office of the Department of Education. We have the Schools Division Superintendent, Mr. Isagani de la Cruz, Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Ms. Mervy Seblos, Chief Curriculum Implementation Division, Ms. Juliet Lastimosa, and Principal Ms. Rosana Salano. We also have our student performers, mentors, and group leaders from Almatac Elementary School, Antonio D. Pendatun Elementary School, San Sapan Elementary School, and Upper Labay High School Music Ensemble.
Maraming salamat, Majority Leader. To the guests of Long District, General Santos City, Loreto B. Acharon, to the officials of Upper Labay, General Santos City, headed by Punong Barangay Sago, and the rest of the visitors here in Congress, on behalf of Speaker Martin Romualdez, maayong pag-abot o maayong hapon kaninyong tanan. Daghang salamat pagbisita. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, may we acknowledge and welcome to the House of Representatives the guests of Representative Christian Onabia of the 1st District, Misamis Oriental, Representative Attorney Lordan Suwan of the 1st District, Cagayan de Oro City, and Representative from the 2nd District of Misamis Oriental, Yevgeny Vicente Bambi Emano. The guests are from the Municipality of Claveria, Province of Misamis Oriental, headed by the Municipal Mayor, Ms. Meraluna Abrogar. We also have Mr. Bob Merkel Abrogar, Municipal Administrator Mr. Gian Fritz Bihag, HRMO Elaine Edillo, MLGOO Isadora Cabildo, Municipal Accountant LV Nakila. We have Menro June Olivar Abo, LDRRMO staff Harold John Franhe, Municipal Tourism Officer Glenn Conde, Municipal Health Officer Sheldon Cosadio, the MSWDO Sheila May Tagle, Municipal Planning Development Officer Sharonel Galendez, LDRMO staff Julie Cocamao, MDRRMO Ruthelio Casino Jr., Lido Johan George Sale, LGU Consultant Homer Bana, Executive Assistant Lynn Eva Paurom, Menro staff Jasmine Quijano, BLPO Jennifer Baginang, MSWO staff Maristela de la Cruz, Budget staff Rolette Dahilog, PNP Chief Rodel Labadan, DILG staff Jasmine Labastida, Mayor staff Margie Yofrosina Valdon, Accounting staff Celeste Marie Abascahin. In other staffs, we have Leslie Heather Nabong, Patricia Emano, Natalia Gabia, Kathleen Kailing, Jervin June Samine, Gemma Go, Grace Linda Barros, and Julian Grace Pelenio.
To the guests of Misamis Oriental, Congressman Onabia, again the Oro City, Congressman Swan, and Misamis Oriental, Congressman Emano. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Maayong hapon. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize Honorable Gabriel Bordado Jr. of the 3rd District of Camarines Sur for his manifestation.
Camarines Sur, Congressman Bordado, you're recognized, sir. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, several months ago, I delivered a privileged speech here at the plenary supporting the leadership of Speaker Martin Romualdez. And once again, I am reiterating this expression of support in the aftermath of Vice President Sara Duterte's devastating meltdown. Speaker Romualdez has been demonstrating the genuine attributes of a great leader, particularly in this season of calamities. Instead of igniting tensions, the Vice President should set a good example by answering the long-standing question about her office's disbursements. It is essential that public funds are managed responsibly, with the needs of the Filipino people at the core of every decision. The public deserves clear answers and transparency, and not amateurish theatrics. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Maraming salamat, Congressman Bordado of Camarines Sur. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, today being a Monday and pursuant to the rules of the House of Representatives, I move that we open the privilege hour.
There's a motion to open the privilege hour. Any objection? The chair hears none. Privilege hour is therefore open and approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize Representative Salvador A. Plato of the 6th District of Bulacan to avail of the privilege hour.
6th District of Bulacan, Congressperson Salvador A. Prieto, you're recognized, sir.
Thank
Please
you,
proceed.
Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Majority Floor Leader. My dear colleagues, good afternoon. It is heartening to note that for the month of November every year is being declared as the National Children's Month or Buwan ng Mga Bata, pursuant to Republic Act 10661 to commemorate the United Nations General Assembly's adoption of the Convention of the Rights of Child on November 20, 1989. The theme for this year's commemoration is Break the Prevalence and of the Violence, Protecting Children, Creating a Safe Philippines. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, among these issues include violence against children such as physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, bullying, peer pressure, depression, domestic violence, health, child labor, poverty, lack of education, drug or substance abuse, crime, teen pregnancy, and many others. However, Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, although not being given much attention regarding present issues for children in our country today, it seems excuse me, that inadequate and limited access to healthcare infrastructure and psychological support system should also be given much attention. This representation, raised in a small town, is a living witness to the inadequate and limited access to healthcare services and infrastructure. What do this representation mean by that, Mr. Speaker? Sa ating bansa, lalong-lalo na sa liblib ng barangay, although there are now the so-called trained barangay health workers, kulang pa rin ang kanilang kasanayan sa pag-detect ng mga disruptive behavior disorders sa ating mga bata, lalong-lalo na sa mga musmus na edad. It is being said, Mr. Speaker, that the most common disruptive behavior disorders include oppositional defiant disorder, conduct disorder, at attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Hindi may pagkaila na dumadami na ang lumalabas na mayroong mga behavior signs of these destructive disorders dahil po sa tumataas na rin na kaalaman o awareness for an early detection, lalong-lalo na sa mga may access sa internet or social media. Pero ang tanong ko po, Mr. Speaker, paano na lang ang mga bata na nasa liblib na kanayunan? Mr. Speaker, na ang mga magulang ay abalang-abala sa pagsasaka o sa pagtatrabaho upang maitawid ang kanilang mga araw-araw na pamumuhay. O kaya, Mr. Speaker, maraming magulang din sa liblib na lugar na hindi nagkaroon ng mataas na antas na edukasyon, na hindi agad mapagtanto ang kanilang anak ay nagpapakita na ng normal o abnormal na behavior. Ang ating health care facilities and health services personnel in remote towns or far-flung barangays ay handa sa mga tao, sa mga ito upang tugunan ang sinasabi nilang early detection that can lead to better treatment or institution better behavioral therapy. Siguro po sa mga urban o highly urbanized cities na may mas mataas na awareness in dealing these behavioral problems, your access to professional help is much easier, more so if the parents are financially capable. Research shows, Mr. Speaker, that our country faces a number of challenges in early detection and treatment of behavioral problems in children, including but not limited to limited access to services, lack of national data, shortage of trained professionals, and others. But I'm saying again, Mr. Speaker, most of these trained professionals or child psychologists practice in urban areas, leaving children in rural areas with less access to these services. Hayaan na ba natin ng mga batang naiiwan na ganun lang, na silang sa kanilang paglaki, subject to degeneration and public ridicule? Maybe it is high time, Mr. Speaker, that the relevant government agencies must take action to look in this pressing problem among our children. These children, unfortunately born and raised in poverty. On this note, Mr. Speaker, please allow me to quote the Bible verse in Psalm chapter 127, verse 3, and it says, "Lo, children are a heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward." End of quote. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, children should be considered as special blessings from the Lord and not burdens. Regarding the issues at hand, the people of the Bulacan 6th District fully supports our President Bongbong Marcos and the leadership of House Speaker Martin Romualdez. Mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po. This is all, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Mabuhay. 6th District, Bulacan, Congressman Prieto. Maraming salamat. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Plato to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate actions.
There's a motion to refer the speech of Congressman Prieto. Is there any objection? Hearing none. Motion is approved. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize the Honorable Loreto B. Acharon of the Lone District of General Santos City to avail of the privilege hour.
General Santos, Lone District. Congressperson Loreto B. Acharon. Mayong hapon. Please proceed, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. I rise today as a matter of privilege to speak on behalf of the families from my district who have been for the longest time deprived of closure they seek, brought about by events that transpired 15 long years ago. It was a Monday then, and for many among us, the first day of any work week is an ordeal of itself as we make our way from the safety of our homes to our place of work and back. Whatever religion that one ascribes to, we entrust our faith in a higher and divine being to watch over us and our loved ones at work and in school, so that at the end of the day, we are accorded the blessings of comfort and peace in our homes amidst the loving embrace of our families. However, for the 58 individuals traveling along a portion of the Cotabato-Isulan Highway on that particular morning of November 23, 2009, the same cannot be true as the day unfolded in horror. About 4 to 10 kilometers from the town of Sarip-Agwak, the 7-vehicle convoy and 2 other vehicles were accosted and detained at the checkpoint, manned by at least 100 heavily armed men. The vehicles were then seized and driven for 2.5 kilometers to a hilly and semi-remote area away from the main road. That was the last time the 58 individuals on board the 9 vehicles were seen alive. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, the gruesome manner by which they were deprived of their lives would not have been discovered were it not for the arrival of a contingent from the Philippine Army and elements of the Philippine National Police. 58 unarmed civilians were slaughtered, men and women alike, without distinction, and among them, 32 journalists from various print, radio, and television media, most of whom were from the city of General Santos and the city of Coronadal. The purpose of this message, Mr. Speaker and distinguished colleagues, is not to rehash the details of that infamous day, because the records speak for itself, and as the deadliest single attack on media in modern history, this crime is one of the most talked about subjects for the last decade and a half. I therefore stand before you to re-echo the concerns of their families, who until today are struggling to find meaning in the ultimate sacrifice their loved ones made as they stared at the eyes of death in those final moments. Justice, whether restorative or in its fullest term, remains elusive to the families of the slain journalists and media workers who are all collateral damage to a politically motivated attack in anticipation of the 2010 elections. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, this representation hopes that this message I am privileged to deliver in this August Hall, for and on behalf of the families of the slain journalists, reach the concerned agency or agencies so that their prayers and supplications for justice and compensation, where there should be, are favorably addressed without further delay. Violence against media practitioners in various forms and degrees continue with unwarranted impunity time and again, more so during elections as they are caught between contending parties who choose in most violent of instances to win no matter who gets hurt, a chilling statement of the dangers journalists face in the pursuit of truth and justice. This representation takes note of the statements of the newly appointed Executive Director of the Presidential Task Force on Media Security during the commemoration of the 15th anniversary of the Maguindanao Massacre, that the free press is essential to a functioning democracy, and we must all contribute to ensuring that journalists can do their jobs without fear or reprisal. We also take cognizance of the fact that the task force, upon the instructions of His Excellency President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., shall pursue its commitment to protect and provide a safe environment for media workers to ensure that such tragedies never happen again, an essential move in safeguarding press freedom as a cornerstone of our democracy, an indispensable pillar in holding power accountable. The midterm elections is just right around the corner, to be held simultaneously with the first Bangsamoro elections. And given the rapidly developing political atmosphere and conditions as we see it today, government's resolve to address and prevent violence against media shall be taken to task. We hope that we are reminded always of these lessons, that we learn from the sacrifices that the 32 journalists unselfishly accorded to us. For them, on that fateful day of November 23, 2009, it was just another day at the office. And for that, they shall never be forgotten. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, daghang salamat at mag-aayong hapon sa atong tanan. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Daghang kayong salamat, Congressman Acharon, Long District of General Santos City. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Representative Loreto Acharon to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
There's a motion to refer the speech of Congressman Acharon. Is there no objection? The chair hears none. Motion is thereby approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, before we proceed, may we acknowledge and welcome to the House of Representatives the guests of Representative Filemon Espares of the Co-op NATCO party list. We have his family, relatives, and siblings of the Representative Espares. We have Reverend Father Martin Laurio, Irene Opao, Teresa Suwelon, Rabi Suwelon, Audrey Faye Suwelon, Athea K. Suwelon, Reverend Father Sani Esparar, Luz Espares, Chris Pacheco, Sofia Crizel Pacheco. We also have the officers of the Most Holy Rosary Multipurpose Cooperatives. We have Director Marian, Romel Rivera, Melissa Ancheta, Perla Manalo, Luz Dominda del Rosario, Belen Salonga, and Beatriz de la Cruz.
to the family and relatives and siblings of our good congressmen and officers of the Most Holy Rosary Multi-Purpose Cooperatives, guests of Representative of Co-op NATCO Party List Filimon M. Espares, on behalf of Speaker Martin Romualdez. Maayong hapon, good afternoon. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Representative Rosana Ria V. Vergara of the 3rd District of Nueva Ecija to avail of the privilege hour.
To the 3rd District, Nueva Ecija, Representative Rosana Ria V. Vergara, you have the floor, ma'am. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, guests, fellow Filipinos, good afternoon. Last week, on November 20, 2024, the whole nation rejoiced when the Office of the President announced that Mary Jane Veloso, an OFW, is finally coming home from Indonesia. Mary Jane is a victim of a drug syndicate who uses Filipinos aspiring for a better life by promising them with supposed better-paying jobs abroad. This momentous development is especially significant to me as Mary Jane is one of my constituents in the 3rd District of Nueva Ecija. She is from Barangay Caudillo in Cabanatuan City. Allow me to tell you her story, a story that is likely similar for many of our OFWs. In 2010, Mary Jane, a poor single mother, was seeking an opportunity to work abroad to be able to provide for her family. She was recruited by her friend, Cristina Serio, to work as a domestic helper in Malaysia. However, after failing to secure a job there, she was told she could find similar employment in Indonesia. On her way to Indonesia, Cristina deceived her into carrying a suitcase that cleverly concealed illegal drugs. 2.6 kilos of heroin was hidden in the lining of the luggage. Mary Jane did not know this because she trusted her friend who gave her the luggage. This led to her arrest for drug trafficking, and despite her innocence, she was convicted in Indonesia. Indonesia's penalty for drug traffickers is death. In 2020, her recruiter, Cristina Serio, was found guilty of illegal recruitment by our local courts and sentenced to life imprisonment. It has been almost 15 years since Mary Jane left the Philippines. In those 15 years, Mary Jane was arrested, imprisoned, convicted, and sitting on death row for 10 years. She was spared in 2015. Following relentless diplomatic negotiations with the government of Indonesia, which started during the administration of the late former President Benigno Aquino Jr. Mary Jane is finally coming home to the Philippines to serve her commutated sentence of life imprisonment. It is my prayer that President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. will consider granting her clemency. I am most grateful to the government of Indonesia, to President Prabowo Subianto, and the Indonesian Chief Minister of Law and Human Rights, Yusril Iza Mahendra, who confirmed the creation of their prisoner transfer policy. This new policy is the legal basis for allowing Mary Jane to go home. President Marcos's recognition of Indonesia as a valuable and integral partner is truly evident in his actions. He chose Indonesia to be his first state visit as president in 2022. This paved the way for this new policy to be implemented. This has never happened before. Mr. Speaker, hayaan ninyo po ako na taos-pusong pasalamatan ang mga tao, opisina at mga organisasyon na nagtulong-tulong upang makauwi si Mary Jane. Una sa lahat, sa ating mahal na Pangulong Presidente Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., sa kanyang pagsisikap sa pakikipagnegosasyon at pagtataguyod ng diplomasya sa gobyerno ng Indonesia. Katulong ang Department of Foreign Affairs sa pamumuno nila DFA Secretary Enrique Manalo at Philippine Ambassador to Indonesia na si Gina Alagon Hamoralin, hindi sila tumigil makipag-usap sa Indonesia upang magtagumpay sa kanilang layunin makauwi sa Pilipinas si Mary Jane. Hiling at abala ko po sa inyong mabuting puso, Mr. President, na kapag nakauwi na si Mary Jane dito sa ating bansa upang ipagpatuloy ang kanyang sentensya, sana po ay kalaunan mabigyan siya ng clemency. Ito po ay upang mabigyan siya ng pagkakataong makapagsimula muli ng panibagong buhay, makapiling ang kanyang mga mahal sa buhay, at muling makapagbigay ng suporta sa kanyang pamilya. Isang bagay na nawala sa kanya sa loob ng 14 na taon. Walang kasalanan po si Mary Jane kundi magtiwala sa isang kaibigan. Si Mary Jane ay tulad sa maraming Pilipino na nangingibang bansa para makakuha ng mabuti-buting buhay. Dahil dito ay nagdusa siya sa mahabang panahon. We can only imagine the emotional and mental pain she had to endure from being imprisoned in another country, a fate she did not deserve. Granting her clemency would serve as a symbol of compassion and fairness, admirable traits that our president possess. A presidential pardon, clemency, would also give hope to many OFW Filipinos also unjustly accused abroad. Mr. Speaker, I would also like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the NGOs in our country that have tirelessly supported Mary Jane's cause. Among them are Migrante Internacional and the Church Task Force to Save Mary Jane, which in 2015 spearheaded a global campaign urging the Indonesian government to spare Mary Jane's life from death row. Their steadfast advocacy and efforts were instrumental in rallying both local and international support for her plight. I also especially commend the National Union of People's Lawyers, especially its chair, Attorney Edre Olalia, for his invaluable contribution to the campaign. Not only did they lend their voices to the cause, but they also served as pro bono private legal counsel to Mary Jane and her family, ensuring they had the legal representation and moral support throughout this difficult journey. The dedication and collective efforts of the national government and these civil society organizations exemplify the power of solidarity, compassion, and justice in the face of difficulty. Their work towards a common goal has brought hope not only to Mary Jane and her family, but to others who may be similarly situated. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Mr. Speaker, ito ang right to due process clause ng ating konstitusyon. Kinakatawan nito ang pagpapahalaga ng ating batas sa buhay ng bawat Pilipino. Ito ang dahilan kung bakit ang mga taong naakusahan ng kasong kriminal ay kinakailangan dumaan muna sa masusing investigasyon at paglilitis sa korte upang patunayan kung siya'y tunay nagkasala. Sa batas natin, lahat ng tao ay innocent until proven guilty. Lahat ng akusado ay dapat dumaan sa due process. Kinalulungkot natin na maraming tao ang napagkaitan ng kanilang right to due process sa nangyaring war on drugs campaign noong nakaraang administrasyon, kung saan maraming naging alegasyon ng EJ case laban sa ating mga kapulisan at mga vigilante. Naisiwalat nga sa mga nakaraang Quad Committee proceedings na halos lahat ng biktima ng EJK ay mula sa pinakamahirap na sektor ng lipunan. Sila ay kinitilan ng buhay dahil lamang sa alegasyon ng pagtutulak o paggamit ng droga. Pinatay sila na hindi man lang nabigyan ng pagkakataon na ipagtanggol ang kanilang mga sarili sa korte at ilabas ang kanilang bersyon ng katotohanan. Hindi sila kasing swerte ni Mary Jane na tunay na pinahahalagahan ang buhay. Ang war on drugs ay tila naging isang band-aid solution na lumabag sa human rights ng maraming tao, kung saan pinalabas ng dating administrasyon na tanging illegal drugs ang biggest threat sa safety at security ng ating bansa, na ang mga drug addicts at pushers ay salot sa lipunan at wala ng pag-asang magbago, kaya dapat patayin na lang. Naging matagumpay na mapaniwala ang maraming tao, lalo na ang mga mahihirap dahil bumenta sa kanila ang estilo ng ating dating Pangulong Duterte. Pananalita na makamasa, mapagbiro na may halong diin at tapang. Epektibo ang matapang na leader na may malasakit. Tapang at malasakit. Ang nangyaring war on drugs ay tinaguriang anti-poor dahil ang tinatarget lamang nito ay ang mga mahihirap at small-time drug pushers at users, habang ang mga big-time drug lords ay malayang nakakapagpatuloy ng kanilang iligal na kalakaran at gawain. Ang sisi tuloy ay napunta sa mga mahihirap. Poor people do not choose to be poor. Madalas, biktima lamang sila ng realidad na hindi lahat ng tao ay pinapanganak sa marangyang sitwasyon at hindi lahat ay pinapalad na makatakas sa masalimuot, sa siklo at sa linlahi ng kahirapan. Masakit man isipin, ngunit ito ang tunay na sitwasyon ng ating lipunan, na minsan dahil sa hirap ng buhay, ang ilan ay naliligaw ng landas at napupunta sa pagtutulak ng droga upang mabuhay, dahil na rin sa kawalan ng oportunidad na makapagtrabaho na problema din ng ating bansa. Kaugnay dito ang istorya ni Mary Jane Veloso ay isang makapangyarihang paalala ng halaga ng bawat buhay ng tao. Ang kwento ni Mary Jane na sinubaybayan hindi lamang ng buong bansa kundi pati rin ng buong mundo. Whoever saves one life saves the world entire. A quote from the Talmud, the Jewish law. I remember first hearing these words from the movie Schindler's List. Si Mary Jane ay isang buhay lamang, ngunit pinaglaban ito ng ating gobyerno, simulan ng administrasyon ng dating Pangulong Aquino, ipinagpatuloy ng maraming lokal at internasyonal na organisasyon, at ngayon na isakatuparan ang pangarap na makauwi sa Pilipinas si Mary Jane Veloso sa kasalukuyang administrasyon ng ating Pangulong Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos. Dahil naniniwala po siya, katulad namin, na ang bawat buhay, iisa man yan, ilang daan o ilang libo, ay karapat-dapat na ipaglaban at iligtas. Dahil sa batas ng Diyos at sa batas ng tao, ang bawat buhay ay mahalaga. Muli, maraming salamat Pangulong Bongbong Marcos sa pagpapahalaga sa buhay ni Mary Jane Veloso. Kayo po ay huwaran na Pangulo. May God continue to bless, protect, and guide you. I truly believe that the hand of God, Allah, has been at work in all of this. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Maraming salamat at magandang hapon. 3rd District, Nueva Ecija, Congresswoman Vergara. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Vergara to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
There's a motion to refer the speech of Congresswoman Vergara to the Committee on Rules. Any objection? Chair hears none. Motion is thereby approved. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Representative Florida Reader P. Robes of the Lone District of San Jose del Monte City to avail of the privilege hour.
Lone District, San Jose del Monte, Representative Florida Rida P. Robes. You have the floor, ma'am. Please proceed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, and of course, Majority Floor Leader. To my colleagues in this august chamber, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I rise in front of you today on a tragic matter that is also an opportunity for us to realign and focus our priorities on environmental protection, climate change adaptation, and disaster risk reduction and mitigation. We have learned and often hear how our country, the Philippines, is one of the most vulnerable countries to the natural disasters. According to Climate Change Knowledge Portal, since 1990, the country experienced around 565 floodings, cyclones, earthquakes, tsunamis, and landslides, costing around $23 billion in damages. Additionally, because of our location in the northwestern Pacific Basin, we are particularly prone to cyclones with an average of 20 typhoons per year that enters the Philippines, area of responsibility. On July 2024, Typhoon Karina affected more than 1 million families in regions 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 10, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, and the NCR. During the most recent Typhoon Christine that razed the Bicol region, disrupted transportation of goods and services, displaced our fellow Filipinos. caused billions in pesos in damages and death of several people, rivers and spillways, including the 94-kilometer Bicol River overflowed. The flooding in these regions were exacerbated by the lack of proper drainage and obstructed waterways. This fate has a common occurrence in a country that has worsened through the years. It is for this reason that I call upon the members of this august chamber. Now is a crucial time for us to legislate laws protecting our environment, waterways, and strengthen flood control projects to mitigate disaster risks and adapt the effects of climate change. What can we do to address these issues? First, an inventory of our waterways, spillways, dams, and natural water resources. Second, we need to determine obstructions, may it be solid waste or temporary infrastructures, and steps to address this. It is imperative that we fortify our existing laws on waste disposal and management and craft legislations that will help us adjust to the new normal, a term internationally used to describe intensified natural disasters due to climate change. Third, we shall study innovation in technology for disaster preparedness, mitigation, and adaptation, determining the best steps in moving forward towards a resilient country. In addition, we must work to build strong institutions that can withstand and respond to the onslaught of disasters. This would mean investing in the protection, conservation, and rehabilitation of our rivers and waterways, as well as our forests. Intensifying information dissemination and education campaigns on waste management and environmental safeguards, and strengthening our people and responders. In conclusion, I would like to call on all of you. I would like to call on all of you, all of us, to rally behind a more environment-conscious nation, one that is prepared to face natural disasters and adapt to changing times. Let us commit ourselves to building a ready and resilient society. Thank you, and a blessed good afternoon to all of us.
Maraming salamat, Congressperson Robes of the Lone District of San Jose del Monte City. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Robes to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
There's a motion to refer the said speech of Congressperson Robes. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Representative Zia Alonto Adyong of the 1st District of Lanao del Sur to avail of the privilege hour.
Congressperson Adyong of Lanao del Sur, 1st District, you're recognized, sir. Please proceed.
Thank you, Majority Leader. All praise is due to Allah, the sovereign creator of the universe, the God of no equal. Peace and blessings be upon the last messenger of God, the seal of the Prophet, Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, I stand before you today as the representative of the 1st District of Lanao del Sur. I carry with me the weight of a region that has seen the devastation of war and conflict. I speak not only as a legislator, but as someone who has witnessed firsthand the horrors of destruction during the Marawi siege in 2017, where I served as spokesperson of the Provincial Crisis Management Committee and lead the humanitarian response operation of the province. The scars of the conflict, Mr. Speaker, remain etched in the hearts of our people, reminding us the urgent and profound need for lasting peace and true justice in the Bangsamoro region. Mr. Speaker, let me begin by expressing my heartfelt gratitude to Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez and the esteemed members of the House delegation to the Comparative Learning Exchange hosted by Conciliation Resources and the Irish government, who joined this transformative journey. The delegation was being led by Deputy Speaker Yasser Alonto Balindong of Lanao del Sur 2nd District, Representative Joselito Joel S. Sakdalan of Cotabato's 1st District, and Representative Muner N. Arbison Jr. of Sulu's 2nd District as member of the delegation. Mr. Speaker, their dedication and insights have been invaluable as we collectively seek pathways to peace and progress for our constituents in our nation. Their presence demonstrated the unity and resolve of the Philippine Congress in addressing the complex challenges of peace building. Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, on the first day of our official itinerary, we began in London with two insightful meetings at the Foreign Commonwealth, the Development Office, or FCDO, in Westminster. The discussion offered a deeper understanding of the lessons and challenges from the North Ireland's journey to peace, providing invaluable parallels to the Bangsamoro context. Chris Flatt, the director of the Northern Ireland Office for Legacy, Public Services, and Economic Growth, shared his extensive experience in handling the aftermath of the Good Friday Agreement, including challenges with transitional justice, constitutional and electoral laws, and national security. He candidly discussed the missteps in addressing transnational justice and the lingering mental health issues among combatants, emphasizing the importance of incorporating these aspects into post-conflict recovery. I shared narratives from the Bangsamoro struggle, highlighting our peace agreements and the establishment of autonomous governance, drawing connections between our respective regions' aspirations for lasting peace and development. In a subsequent meeting, Mr. Speaker, we engaged with St. John Gould, Deputy Director of the Conflict Resolution Department under the Office for Conflict, Stabilization, and Mediation, or OCSM. Mr. Speaker, the discussion centered on the delicate balance between justice and reconciliation, particularly concerning the prosecution of rebel returnees under the revised penal code and the grant of amnesty as part of peace agreements. This dialogue was especially relevant given the ongoing political aspirations of former combatants seeking political aspirations in the Bangsamoro region, Mr. Speaker. These exchanges underscored the complexities of conflict resolution, emphasizing the need for inclusive policies that not only uphold the rule of law, but also honor the commitments made in peace agreements to foster stability and trust. Our recent learning exchange in Belfast, north of Ireland, and Dublin in Ireland brought to light lessons that resonate deeply with the challenges and aspirations of the Bangsamoro. The parallels between the north of Ireland's, the Troubles, as they call it, and our long history of strife are undeniable. The shared stories of struggle, resilience, and the eventual reconciliation offer a roadmap that we, in the Bangsamoro, can draw upon as we continue our journey towards peace. We are beyond grateful to the Conciliation Resources for this historic opportunity and privilege. It was indeed an honor as our delegated spokesperson to share how closely Ireland's troubles mirror with the Bangsamoro's historic struggles and the Philippines' long road to peace and justice. In Belfast, Mr. Speaker, we stood in the shadow of the Europa Hotel, a structure that endured countless bombings during the Troubles, quote unquote. It serves as a poignant symbol of a city's resilience amidst decades of violent conflict. Like in Marawi, Mr. Speaker, Belfast bore the brunt of war, its people displaced, its communities divided. Yet it also embodies hope, a testament to what can be achieved when conflicting parties choose dialogue over division and compromise over confrontation. Our discussions with the parliamentarians and ambassadors of North of Ireland brought to life the enduring legacy of the 1998 Good Friday Agreement, a historic accord that remains a beacon of hope over 2 decades since its signing. The determination to fully implement all its provisions is still palpable. It resonates in their voices and radiates from their eyes, a confidence rooted in their collective decision to end violence and embrace dialogue. The agreement was built on intentionality, where all parties agreed that violence must stop and reconciliation must begin. It emphasized the power of open communication, requiring immense patience to set aside pain and grievances, and the conscious use of language to heal rather than divide. Grounded in human rights principles and optimism for the future, the agreement underscored the critical role of women in transitional justice and the transformation of the police from a force of control into a true service for the community. These lessons, Mr. Speaker, serve as an enduring reminder that peace is not only possible, but sustainable when pursued with unity and resolve. We are deeply grateful to organizations like Conciliation Resources for fostering exchanges that have allowed us to draw from these experiences and apply them to our own peace-building efforts in the country. The parallels between the Good Friday Agreement and the Bangsamoro peace process are both profound and instructive. The Bangsamoro agreements drew significant inspiration from the Good Friday framework, adopting key elements such as the decommissioning of combatants, transitional justice mechanisms, and the establishment of a block grant system to ensure fiscal autonomy. Power sharing in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao reflects the inclusive governance modeled enshrined in North of Ireland's Accord, while provisions for amnesty echo the spirit of reconciliation and reintegration central to their peace-building efforts. These shared foundations highlight how the experiences of one conflict-affected region can illuminate the path for another, offering not only a practical framework, but also a profound sense of hope. Both agreements affirm that lasting peace is achievable through collective effort, guided by the principles of justice, inclusivity, and the courage to transform legacies of conflict into enduring partnerships for the future. Mr. Speaker, our meetings with leaders from the Sinn Féin, the Northern Ireland Assembly, and various political stakeholders illuminated the remarkable evolution of governance in Northern of Ireland. From deep-rooted mistrust and violence, they transitioned to a power-sharing government under the framework of the Good Friday Agreement. This hard-won peace agreement, forged through decades of negotiations, highlighted the critical role of inclusivity and mutual recognition in resolving conflicts. For the Bangsamoro, this underscores the importance of ensuring that our institutions remain representative of all voices in our region. The Bangsamoro Organic Law and the subsequent establishment of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao are steps in the right direction, Mr. Speaker, but our work is far from over. True autonomy and sustainable peace require not just laws, but the unwavering commitment to uphold them through genuine partnership and inclusive governance. Our visit to the Sinn Féin offices, where we engage with the member of the parliament, Declan Kearney, was particularly moving. The journey of Sinn Féin from a revolutionary movement to the largest political party in North of Ireland underscores the transformative power of inclusion. Declan Kearney shared stories of former revolutionaries who, through the Good Friday Agreement, transitioned from the margins to the mainstream, becoming key architects of North of Ireland's governance. This is a lesson we must take to heart, Mr. Speaker. In the Bangsamoro, achieving peace is not merely about disarmament or political agreements. It is about addressing the roots of marginalization and ensuring that former combatants, indigenous communities, and marginalized sectors are fully integrated into the political, social, and economic fabric of the region. Justice, too, must be central to this process. As we learned in North of Ireland, justice is not just about retribution, but also recognition, acknowledging that pain of those who suffered and ensuring that systems are in place to prevent such suffering from recurring. In the Bangsamoro region, Mr. Speaker, this means continuing to support mechanisms like the Transitional Justice and Reconciliation Commission, which aim to heal the wounds of the past while laying the foundation for a more equitable future. Our engagement in Dublin, leaders like Bertie Ahern, former Taoiseach of Ireland, emphasized the importance of robust institutions in maintaining peace. The Good Friday Agreement did not just end the violence. It created systems of governance that ensure accountability, representation, and collaboration. In the Bangsamoro, we must strengthen the institutions established under the BARM. This includes enhancing the capacity of the Bangsamoro Parliament, ensuring that justice systems are accessible and fair, and fostering economic opportunities that uplift all communities. We must also learn from the political shifts in the north of Ireland, where coalition building and power sharing have become the norm. The success of such arrangements lie in the willingness of leaders to set aside personal and political differences for the greater good, a lesson that we, as Filipino leaders, must embrace if we are to bring peace not just to the Bangsamoro, but to the entire nation. Mr. Speaker, the devastation of Marawi reminds us of the price of conflict, but the stories of Belfast and Dublin reminds us of the promise of peace. Achieving lasting peace and true justice in the Bangsamoro is not just a dream, it is a responsibility, a legacy we must leave for future generations. As I conclude, Mr. Speaker, we also extend our sincerest appreciation to the Irish government for their warm hospitality and for sharing their wealth of experience in peace building. Special thanks to Conor Prasad, Deputy Director of Ireland Peace and Stability Unit, for the Dublin leg of our exchange, and to Avila Kilmore from the Social Change Institute for her guidance during the Belfast leg. To Conciliation Resources under the leadership of Jonathan Cohen, with the support of Sharon O'Toole, and to our tireless facilitator, Attorney Sharif Salik, along with the dedicated staff, Kate, Bianca, and Patch. Your unwavering support made this learning exchange not only possible, but profoundly impactful. Your commitment to fostering dialogue and understanding will forever be a part of our journey toward peace. Mr. Speaker, let us draw strength from the resilience of our people, learn from the experience of others, and commit ourselves to the arduous but rewarding task of building a Bangsamoro defined not by its struggles, but by its triumphs. Maayong hapon kaninyong tanan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Marami pong salamat, Mr. Speaker.
Maayong hapon for that. Congressman Adyong from the 1st District of Lanao del Sur, Sukran. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Z. Alonto Adyong to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
There is a motion to refer the privileged speech of Congressman Adyong to the Committee on Rules. Any objection? The chair hears none. Motion is thereby approved. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Representative Percival V. Sendanya of the Akbayan Party List to avail of the privilege hour.
Party List Akbayan, Congressman or Representative Percival V. Sendanya, you have the floor, sir. Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, good afternoon. This November, we celebrate Children's Month. And as we wrap up, we are ushering another equally important day for the Filipino youth. On the 1st of December is the International World AIDS Day. We made a commitment, Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, as a signatory to the political declaration on HIV and AIDS. We pledged to end AIDS by 2030. We made a commitment, Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, as important as it is for every Filipino, especially among the young. As a country which experiences the fastest growing HIV epidemic in the Western Pacific region, a country with 411% increase in daily HIV incidence in the last 10 years, we needed a plan and a target. I cannot overemphasize, Mr. Speaker, that the Philippines sort of holds the gold medal when it comes to HIV incidence in the region. And the plan and the target for this is the 7th AIDS Medium-Term Plan. Our target is the 95, 95, 95, a global target that we have adopted. It aims that by 2030, 95% of people living with HIV know their HIV status. 95% of PLHIVs who know their HIV status are receiving treatment. And 95% of PLHIV on treatment have suppressed their viral load so that their immune system remains strong and the likelihood of their infection being passed on is greatly reduced. Hence the term U equals U. Undetectable equals untransmissible. Subalit as of third quarter of 2024, ayon sa DOH Epidemiology Bureau, ang Pilipinas ay nasa 61, 67, 39 pa lamang. Malayo na ang naabot ng teknolohiya ng HIV prevention and treatment sa mundo, pero bakit nangungulelat pa rin tayo? This is not to say that we have not made progress. This representation belongs to Akbayan Party List. Akbayan championed the enactment of the RPRH law, the Mental Health Act, the Universal Healthcare Act, and together with the Network to Stop AIDS, NSAP, whose member organizations are present with us in the plenary this afternoon, we passed into law Republic Act 11166, or the new HIV and AIDS law. These legislations are important ammunition in our fight to end AIDS by 2030. But apparently, these are not enough. When it comes to implementation, we are still missing a few but very crucial steps, a few but very crucial pieces. According to the latest HIV and AIDS surveillance in the Philippines, of the newly diagnosed people living with HIV, 80% are 15 to 34 years old. Data shows pabata ng pabata ang nagkaka-HIV sa Pilipinas. This confirms the tag youth epidemic na naging pangunahing kampanya natin nung tayo ay commissioner sa National Youth Commission, precisely to call attention to this alarming trend. It is truly frustrating to note not only that we are contributing to the failure of the global campaign to end AIDS, but also, this hurts even more, we are failing the Filipino youth. We are failing a young girl named Anna, who was 15 years old, 7 months pregnant when she was diagnosed with HIV. She was abandoned by her parents and was living on her own at age 11. It took a month before treatment was started before her parents, and they remained in no-show. 2 weeks later, she gave birth. Her baby also is HIV positive. We are failing Trixie, a 17-year-old trans woman living with HIV in Iloilo. Trixie is one of 8 siblings. Despite being diligent students, Trixie needed to stop school simply because her family could no longer afford it. When Trixie started feeling body pains, coughs, and colds, and began spitting and defecating blood, she remained silent for 2 months. She didn't want her parents to know for fear they would disown her. Trixie did not learn anything about HIV in school. She could not get treatment initially on account of her young age. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, sina Ana and Trixie ang mukha ng mga Filipino PLHIV sa Pilipinas sa ngayon. Mga kabataang hindi agad nabigyan ng gamot kahit ito ay nasa batas. Kung nasimulan kaagad si Ana ng treatment, hindi sana magpa-positive sa HIV ang kanyang sanggol. Kung hindi agad nagpagamot si Trixie, lalala ang kanyang kondiksyon. She already had pneumonia at that time. Trixie could have died at 17. Not only was treatment denied to the Filipino youth, but also HIV prevention. Adolescents who are engaged in risky behavior are also not able to access PrEP and PEP, HIV prevention measures that could save their lives. In fact, only 11% reported consistent condom use. Ang rason kung ba't hindi sila gumagamit ng proteksyon, kawalan ng access. Kawalan ng access nitong 61%. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, as we celebrate World AIDS Day on December 1st, 6 days from now, this representation would like to propose 3 urgent measures to fully implement our HIV and AIDS Policy Act and meet our 95 targets. First, focus on the youth. Provide the youth with evidence-based information about HIV and AIDS, coupled with life-affirming and empowering messages, encouraging them to get tested, to enroll in treatment, prioritizing their quality of life and well-being. They should not feel fear and shame about matters that concern their health. Instead, they should be supported all the way. Number 2, invest in prevention. In the HIV and AIDS response, prevention is cure. Adolescents should have access to PrEP, self-testing, antiretroviral treatment, and all of the HIV and AIDS services available to all PLHIVs and members of key populations. We should be upholding the best interests of the Filipino child in all matters all the time. Third, recognize the intersectionality of their vulnerabilities. These young key populations are also men who have sex with men and trans women. They might also be using drugs, engaged in transactional sex, pregnant women, migrant workers, people deprived of liberty. HIV and AIDS services should be inclusive, especially towards those marginalized. Lahat tayo ay may right to health. Walang lugar ang stigma and discrimination sa isang malusog na lipunan. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, the continuing uptick of the HIV incidents in the country is a wake-up call. Not to act out of moral panic, not to instill hopelessness and despair, but to be strategic and compassionate. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, we can achieve our 95 targets. We can end AIDS. We can end this youth epidemic. We can and we should. We owe this to every young Filipino whose life is ahead of them. Let's give them a future they can hope for. Marami pong salamat at mabuhay tayong lahat.
Maraming salamat. Akbayan Party List, first of all, Vincent Dania. Thank you. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Sendanya to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
There's a motion to refer said speech of Akbayan Party List to the Committee on Rules. Any objection? Chair hears none. Said motion is approved. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, before we proceed, may we acknowledge the guests of Deputy Speaker Yasser Balindong, Representative Joselito Sakdalan, Representative Zia Adyong, and this representation. Here with us today is Attorney Eksan Salik Sharif, the Country Director of Conciliation Resources.
To the guests of Congressman Adyong. Correct? Mayang pag-abot. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Mayang hapon kanino tanan. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we extend the privilege hour.
There's a motion to suspend.
Extend.
Privilege hour suspended.
Extended.
You said suspend or extend?
Extended, Mr.
Stand corrected, Majority Leader. So please restate your motion, please.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we extend the privilege
Extend. Okay. There's a motion to extend the privilege hour. Any objection? There hears none. Privilege hour extended. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Representative Arlene D. Brosas of the Gabriela Party List to avail of the privilege hour.
Gabriela Party List, Arlene Rosas of please proceed, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ngayong ika-25 ng Nobyembre, ating ginugunita ang International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women o IDEVAO. Ang araw ng pagkilala sa mga nauna at nagpapatuloy na kampanya para labanan ang iba't ibang forma ng pandarahas at pang-aabuso sa kababaihan. Signifikante ang pagkakatakda sa IDEVAO sa petsang ito sapagkat ating inaalala na sa araw na ito rin mismo noong dekada 60 ay marahas na kinitil ang tatlong magkakapatid na Mirbal na sina Patria Mercedes, Maria Argentina Minerva at Antonia Maria Teresa, mga magigiting na kababaihang martir ng Dominican Republic na nanguna at nakiisa sa June 14 Revolutionary Movement. Isang kilusan na mariing tinutulan ang diktatorya ni Generalissimo Rafael Trujillo. 64 na taon na ang nakararaan. Ngunit patuloy pa rin nating ginugunita ang IDVAO dahil nananatiling talamak ang karahasan sa kababaihan sa kasalukuyan, anuman ang forma at pamamaraan. Sa konteksto ng malawakang pagpapabaya, pang-aabuso at impunidad ng Estado na umiiral noon at umiiral pa rin hanggang ngayon. Matutunghayan ito sa mismong tala ng PNP Crime Incident Reporting and Analysis System or PNP-CIRAS na nag-ulat ng 19,635 kaso ng karahasan sa kababaihan at mga bata sa unang 8 buwan ng taong 2023. Katumbas ito ng 92 na naabusong babae at bata sa bansa kada araw. At sa patuloy na pagbibilang sa mga kaso ng pang-aabuso sa nalalabing araw ng taong 2024, mayroon nang naitala ang Women and Children Protection Unit statistics ng Child Protection Network na 13,942 violence against women and children cases. Mula pisikal, sexual at psikolohikal na pang-aabuso, sextortion, online sexual abuse and exploitation of children, trafficking, at iba pang mga forma nito. Kaugnay nito, lubhang nakakaalarma na taon-taon nang lumalabas sa VAO reports ng PNP na nangunguna sa listahan ng mga krimen sa kababaihan ang panggagahasa, na kung saan 1,610 o 76% ng 2,114 na kaso nito sa unang kwarto ng 2023 ay child rape. At kalakhan sa mga sospek ay mismong kakilala o kaanak ng mga biktima. Liban dito, nakababahala rin ang resulta ng isinagawang pag-aaral ng United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, at International Justice Mission or IJM, na nagsasabing sa buong mundo, global hotspot ng child sexual abuse and exploitation materials or CSAM ang Pilipinas, kung saan tinatayang 750,000 ang mga aktibong naghahanap ng mga batang babaeng mapagsasamantalahan sa iba't ibang social media platforms, online gaming sites at electronic mailing services. Kaya't ganoon na lamang ang pagpapaigting natin sa kampanya para wakasan ang pang-aabuso sa kababaihan at kabataan. Patuloy ang ating pagpapanawagang madinig at maipasa ang mga panukalang batas at resolusyon kagaya ng divorce bill na inaasahang magbibigay daan sa mga natatali sa abusive marital relations na makaalpas mula rito, at ang House Bill 401 na naghahain ng ilang mahahalagang amendments sa anti-rape law at revised penal code gaya ng pagpapalawig sa definisyon ng consent at pagpapataw ng mas mabibigat na parusa at pananagutan sa mga may sala, higit lalo sa mga unipormado at nasa katungkulan. Kaalinsabay nito ay ang ating pagdulog sa tanggapan ng mga susing sangkot na ahensya gaya ng National Bureau of Investigation, NBI, para igiit ang mas maagap at masaklaw na pag-iimbestiga, pagtugon at pag-aksyon sa kabi-kabilang kaso ng pang-aabuso at karahasan, higit lalo sa digital era na naglipa na ang electronic violence against women and children at online gender-based abuse and harassment. Mr. Speaker, sa kaibuturan ng lahat ng ito, nakaugat ang vulnerabilidad ng kababaihan at kabataan sa abuso at karahasan sa ekonomikong kontekstong kanilang kinalalagyan, na nanatiling masalimuot na realidad sa ating lipunan na kalakhan ng mga kababaihan at batang nakararanas ng pandarahas at pang-aabuso ay mula sa pinakamahihirap na sektor at komunidad. Matingkad ang manifestasyon nito sa mundo ng paggawa, kung saan ayon sa ulat ng Center for Women's Resources, mayorya sa 2.275863 milyong kababaihang manggagawa sa taong 2022 ay rank and file workers o mga ordinaryong manggagawa na hindi tumatangan ng supervisory at managerial roles, kung saan 20.12% ay hindi regular at 71.8% o 7 sa bawat 10 ng mga manggagawang ito ay nasa sektor ng serbisyo. Dagdag pa, napakaraming kababaihan ang walang katiyakan sa trabaho, walang panlipunang proteksyon at hindi nakatatanggap ng nakabubuhay na sahod. Katunayan, ayon sa ibon, patuloy ang pagtaas ng bilang ng mga manggagawang nasa informal na sektor mula 19.9 million sa taong 2002 tungong 20.4 million sa taong 2023. Ayon yan sa Ibon Foundation. At bukod sa pagkakasadlak ng napakaraming kababaihang Pilipino sa informal na paggawa sa bansa, itinutulak din ng neoliberal na konteksto ang ating kababayan, higit lalo ang kababaihan na bumubuo sa mayorya ng ating migranteng manggagawa sa pakikipagsapalaran sa ibang bayan, kung saan higit na vulnerable ang mga migranteng manggagawa sa physical, psychological, sexual, at economic abuses. Sinasalamin ito ng kalagayan ni Mary Jane Veloso, isang migranteng manggagawang kababaihan na nasangkot sa illegal drug trafficking. Pinatawan si Mary Jane ng parusang kamatayan sa kabila ng kawalan ng makatarungang paglilitis at malinaw na indikasyon na siya ay biktima ng illegal drug trade at trafficking. Mula noon, walang humpay na ipinanawagan ng Gabriela Women's Party at iba pang kilusang kababaihan, migrante at manggagawa ang mariing pagtutol sa parusang kamatayan na ipinataw sa kanya. Nito lamang nakaraang linggo, tumambad sa ating lahat ang balita ng posibleng pag-uwi ni Mary Jane sa Pilipinas. Kung kaya't habang kinikilala natin ang positibong pag-usad sa kanyang kaso, patuloy pa rin tayo sa pagkakampanya sa ganap na pagpapawalang sala at pagpapalaya sa kanya. Matutunghayan mula sa mga kasong nabanggit na bunsod ng vulnerableng posisyon ng kababaihan sa mundo ng paggawa, kung saan itinuturing sila at ang kanilang lakas paggawa bilang kalakal at patuloy silang nasasadlak sa malalang power imbalances, mapaniil na work arrangements at malawakang kawalan ng proteksyon, mula recruitment hanggang employment, nagiging vulnerable rin ang kababaihan sa iba't ibang forma ng pananamantala. Ito rin ang kahalagahan ng ating pagkakampanya para sa pagtalima sa ILO Convention No. 190, isang tratado na naglalayong tugunan at tuldukan ang violence and harassment sa mundo ng paggawa. Bagaman matagumpay na niratipika ang dokumentong ito, buhat na rin ng pagsusulong ng iba't ibang organisasyon ng kababaihan at manggagawa at mga miyembro ng parlamentaryo. Ating ipinagpapatuloy ang paggigiit at pagtitiyak sa maayos na implementasyon nito. Hindi din natin kalilimutan ang mga biktima ng state-sponsored violence, nariyan ang mga kaanak na mga kinitil sa ilalim ng madugong drug war ng Administrasyong Duterte. Walang pagdinig na pinalampas ang mga ina, asawa at anak ng mga biktima. Mula Kongreso hanggang sa mas malawak na pampublikong espasyo, patuloy silang nananawagan ng hustisya at pagpapanagot sa mga puwersa ng Estado na sangkot sa serye ng mga operasyong humantong sa extrajudicial killings at pagpapatupad sa gyera kontra droga sa kabuuan. Ang kultura ng abuso at impunidad sa hanay ng kapulisan, pati na rin ang pag-igting ng militarisasyon ay nagpapatuloy sa kasalukuyang administrasyon. Iniulat ng Center for Women's Resources ang ilan sa mga kaso ng state-perpetrated violence against women, kung saan mismo ang mga sundalo at pulis ang nangaabuso. Isa rito ay ang kaso ng panggagahasa ng 5 kasundaluhan ng 94th IB sa Himamaylan, Negros Occidental, kung saan sapilitan silang nagdala ng 2 batang babae sa kanilang kampo at kinabukasan ay pinauwi ang mga ito suot-suot ang uniforme ng sundalo. Sa syudad naman ng Davao, mayroon ding naitalang kaso ng pangahalay sa isang 10 taong gulang na babae kung saan ang itinuturo na may sala ay miyembro ng Citizen Armed Force Geographical Unit o CAFGU ng Davao City. Samantala, isang 19 na taong gulang na babae naman ang naging biktima ng gang rape noong ika-23 ng Mayo taong 2023 sa Cebu, kung saan sinasabing ang mga perpetrator ay 5 miyembro ng PNP. At sa kasaysayan ng pag-igting ng militarisasyon at agresyon, ang sektor ng kababaihan ang pinaka-vulnerable sa karahasan. Kahapon lamang, binawian na ng buhay si Lola Estelita D., isang comfort woman na biktima ng military sexual slavery sa pananakop ng imperialistang Japan. Si Lola Estelita ay aktibong kumilos sa Lila, Pilipina at hanggang sa huli niyang hininga ay nanawagan para sa reparasyon at kapayapaang nakabatay sa katarungan. Kaya, Mr. Speaker, maglaan tayo ng ilang segundong katahimikan para kay Lola Estelita. Ilan lamang ito sa mga kaso ng pang-aabuso sa kamay ng mga pulis at kasundaluhan. Mismong ang mga inaasahang magpatupad ng batas at magtiyak sa kaayusan at kapayapaan ng lipunan ay sila ring nasasangkot sa mga kaso ng paglabag sa karapatan at pandarahas sa kababaihan at mga bata. Bagay na pinalala ang kultura ng pananahimik at paninisi sa mga biktima. Sa kabila ng lahat ng ito, isinisiwalat ng panukalang pambansang budget na prioridad pa rin ang kasalukuyang administrasyon ang paglalaan ng napakalaking pondo para sa depensa at militar, habang gamumo ang alokasyon para sa panlipunang serbisyo, paglikha ng permanenteng trabaho at tinapyasan pa ang pondo para sa kalusugan ng kababaihan. Sa kabuuan, hanggat mulat na ipinagkakait ng gobyerno ang katarungan para sa mga biktima ng pang-aabuso at karahasan batay sa kasarian at namamayagpag ang kultura ng kapabayaan at impunidad ng Estado, magpapatuloy ang esensya ng paggunita sa International Day on the Elimination of Violence Against Women at ang inaalala nitong makasaysayang pakikibaka ng magkakapatid na Mirabal. Liban sa paglalayong wakasan ang iba't ibang forma ng karahasan batay sa kasarian, nais din nating tuldukan ang kapabayaan at pananamantala ng mga puwersa ng Estado. Sa diwang ito, nagpapatuloy ang Gabriela Women's Party, katuwang ang malawak na hanay ng kababaihan at mamamayang Pilipino sa sama-samang pagsusulong ng ligtas na lipunan para sa kababaihan at mga bata. Isang lipunan kung saan malaya sa anumang forma ng karahasan ang bawat babae, bata at mamamayan. Isang lipunang papawiin ang malalim na salik na nagpapanatili sa kultura ng karahasan, sa kababaihan at iba pang vulnerableng kasarian. Ang malawakang kahirapan, kawalan ng disente at ligtas na trabaho, kawalan ng nakabubuhay na sahod, inekwalidad at impunidad na umiiral sa lipunan. Mabuhay ang kababaihang patuloy na lumalaban. Maraming salamat, Mr. Speaker.
Maraming salamat, Gabriela Party List Brosas. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Brosas to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Is there no objection? The chair hears none. Motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Representative Franz L. Castro of the ACT Teachers Party List to avail of the privilege hour.
ACTS teacher, Representative Franz L. Castro, you recognize, ma'am. Please proceed.
Maraming salamat, Ginong Speaker. Ginong Speaker, mga kapwa ko mambabatas, magandang hapon sa ating lahat. Ako po ay tumatayo ngayon upang bigyang pansin ang kalagayan ng ating mga guro sa Alternative Learning System o ALS. Ito yung mga mobile teachers na nakikita natin sa mga komunidad at sa mga eskwelahan kung weekend at iba't iba pang mga lugar sa mga bilangguan at iba pa. Sila ang nagtutulay ng edukasyon patungo sa mga Pilipinong hindi kayang pumasok sa mga formal na paaralan dahil sa kahirapan at iba't ibang sitwasyon. Ngunit sa kasalukuyan, Ginoong Speaker, sistemang pang-edukasyon, tila napapabayaan at naisasantabi ang kanilang mga kapakanan at karaingan. Kasabay ng pagtindi ng krisis sa ekonomiya, ay laruling tumitindi ang kanilang pangangailangan para sa mas maalwan na kondisyon sa trabaho. Una, hirap makakuha ng promosyon ang mga ALS teachers, lalo na sa mga gurong, hindi kabilang sa formal na classroom setup. So imagine nyo, Mr. Speaker, kailangan nilang bumalik sa classroom setup para lang sila ay ma-promote. So talawas ito sa kanilang mandato na kailangang umangkop sa kalagayan ng kanilang mga estudyante. So nagtitiis na nga, Mr. Speaker, itong mga teachers natin na pumunta sa iba't ibang mga risky na lugar, sa iba't ibang komunidad, pero wala silang wala silang karapatan na ma-promote. Pangalawa, bilang guro, isa sa mga binibigyang pansin natin ay ang diversity ng ating learners. Sa bawat estudyante ay may mga unique at distinct na kakayahan at pangangailangan. Trabaho ng guro, umisip ng iba't ibang mga pamamaraan para i-cater ang iba't ibang pangangailangan ng ating mga estudyante upang sila ay matuto. Paano pa kaya sa ALS teachers? Isipin po natin, umaabot sa 75 estudyante ang hawak ng isang ALS teacher, samantalang ang ideal class size ay 35 lamang. Paano nito matutugunan ang espesyal na pangangailangan ng bawat mag-aaral kung sobra-sobra ang kanilang teaching load? And by the way, Mr. Speaker, dito sa 75 na mga estudyante nito, iba-iba ding mga level ang hinahandle ng ating mga mobile teacher or ALS teacher. Pangatlo, bukod pa rito, mainam sanang magkaroon din ng designated classroom ang ating mga ALS teachers sa bawat paaralan. Napakahirap daw po na magturo sa ilalim ng puno, sa barangay hall, sa mga makeshift na lugar, at iba't iba pang mga lugar, no? Mas mahirap ito lalo na sa mga mag-aaral dahil hindi conducive ang kanilang learning environment. Nais nating ng inklusibo at accessible education. Makakamit lang natin ito kung bibigyan natin ng sariling espasyo sa mga eskwelahan ang ating mga ALS teachers and students. Ang banggit pa po ng ating mga teachers, no, dahil marami silang mga instructional materials na lagi nilang dala-dala yan sa bawat lugar na kanilang pagtuturuan. So mainam talaga, Mr. Speaker, na meron talagang designated na classroom para mapaglagakan ng mga teaching materials sa iba't ibang level ng pag-aaral o ng mga estudyante. Kaugnay nito ang pagbibigay din ng sapat na teaching materials. Sa panahon ng modernong technology o teknolohiya, hangad ng mga guro na magkaroon ng service laptop. Isang pangunahing kagamitan para sa larangan ng pagtuturo na ngayon dahil sa ating modern technology na at para maging relevant naman ang ating mga teachers sa ating mga estudyante. Deserve ng ating mga teachers, mga ALS teachers ang mabilis at dekalidad na service laptop at hindi ang mga kinurakot at overpriced na laptops. Mga kapwa ko mambabatas, ang mga suliraning ito ay bunga ng malalim na problema sa ating edukasyon, ekonomiya, sa lipunan. sa kabila ng di mapigilang pagtaas o pagsirit ng mga presyo ng mga bilihin at habang nananatiling mababa ang sahod, maraming Pilipino ang napipilitang tumigil sa pag-aaral upang magtrabaho para sila ay mabuhay. Wala na ba silang karapatan na mag-aral? Sa ganitong sitwasyon, Mr. Speaker, ang ating mga working students din ay talagang hirap din. Samantala, ang pondo para sa edukasyon ay hindi sapat o kaya ay napupunta lang sa korupsyon. Katulad ng mga nadidiscover natin no, na mga korupsyon dito sa mga committee. Nananawagan ako sa Departamento ng Edukasyon at sa inyo po mga kapwa ko mambabatas. Bigyan natin ng pansin ang ating mga ALS teachers, bigyan natin pansin ang kanilang panawagan at mga hinaing. Kaya po, tayo po sa ACT Teachers Party List ay gusto natin talaga, Mr. Speaker, na magkaroon na talaga ng regulasyon dito sa dami ng estudyante sa loob ng classroom. At magkaroon din ng service laptop ang bawat teacher. Nawa ay suportahan nyo kami sa panawagang ito sapagkat ang ating mga ALS teachers ay mahalagang mga guro mga guro na nagtataguyod ng ating edukasyon. Edukasyon sa ating mga out-of-school youth, working students, mga bilanggo, mga estudyante sa mga mahihirap na lugar o mahirap abutin, at iba't iba pang mga kalagayan. Hindi natin dapat ipagkait sa kanila ang kanilang mga pangangailangan. Sa mga ALS teachers natin, salamat sa inyong walang sawang paglilingkod. Hindi kayo nag-iisa sa laban na ito. Patuloy naming isusulong ang mga karapatan at ang inyong mga kapakanan. Maraming salamat, Ginoong Speaker.
Maraming salamat, Congresswoman Franz Castro, ACT Teachers Party List. Majority Leader, please.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Castro to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
There's a motion to refer the speech of ACT Teachers Party List, Congressperson Castro. Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, there being no member who wishes to avail of the privilege hour, I move that we terminate the privilege hour.
Motion to terminate. Is there an objection? Chair hears none. Motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we adjourn session until tomorrow, November 26 at 3 p.m.
Motion to adjourn, of course, is approved. Adjourn until tomorrow, 3 p.m., Tuesday. Maraming salamat.